As planners, we just don't want lines on a paper to be stored away in a drawer forever. We want to find funding to actually impact these communities and get it built the right way that's going to be there for many generations.
The nature of the work we do in communities is it's never done. And that long-term perspective is something that I really value. You don't finish a community, walk away, fix it, and forget it. It's also about thinking, what comes after this? What's the next thing after that and the next thing after that?
Even though we might be working on an infrastructure development project, we want to integrate the natural and cultural environment to ensure that that heritage lives on for future generations.
The natural environment is very complex. It's very important for us to think about ways that we can work with that environment. Ways that we're not maximizing our footprint, we're looking at ways to actually kind of try to minimize that footprint.
So while there are strict regulations, that's really where we start our design, looking at what can we do that is right for the environment. We want to do right in the first place as well.
So that is always our goal, is not to stop a project, to find solutions to get through the problems.
What will this road look like? What will this building site look like? We are really building for the next generation.
I want it to stay that way for my children and my children's children and their children. That's the responsibility that we have as people that actually have an effect on that environment.
You know, when you think about all the different ways that a project as simple as, let's say, a roadway project can impact the environment and really the balance of nature, it's important that we have those experts that are able to go out there and to help us discern what we need to do in order to minimize the impacts on really the way that nature itself is able to perform in those areas.
The responsibility of an engineer is to maintain a sustainable environment. That's where we come together with the civil engineers across the company in the Southeast, Midwest, and others. And that comes through proper mitigation management, proper impact management, and following federal and state laws, but also giving a little pushback when needed in order to ensure that our clients' needs are met.
We are going to listen, we are going to learn, and we're going to lean into those problems and create really interesting solutions to ensure that we're solving our clients' needs for now and into the future.
So my favorite thing that I get to do with my job is see these restoration sites come to light, from farm fields to restored wetlands, and that really is an incredible thing to see. And just getting to point out to other people, hey, look at that bird, or look at that plant that probably hasn't been here for like 50 years.
I've had the Board of Soil and Water Resources tell me that my team is probably the best team that they work with. They're also the weirdest team that they work with because they're so passionate about what they do, and that inspires me to be the best that I can for them.
I don't love trees because of trees. It's kind of a hard one to answer. I don't know, I just find them interesting. There's a lot of cool characteristics about trees. When working with a client, we're trying to help them understand what they need to help those trees survive and to thrive in the future for the community.
At Bolton Menk, longevity and sustainability are one and the same. Are our downstream waters being protected? Are our stormwater quality needs being met? What does the existing footprint have to offer?
Environmental engineering deals so much with water quality, whether it be water systems, water treatment systems, elevated storage. The number of different designs that have been evolved over the last 20, 30, 40 years has been significant.
When we talk about environmental stewardship, one thing we did at Bolton and Menk was brought on Fortin Consulting, and they specialized in environmental preservation from the perspective of how communities use salt and chlorides for ice control in the winter. So instead of use the salt and try to sweep it up before it gets into the waterways, we are working on design components that prevent them from having to salt in the first place.
What we're really trying to do at the end of the day is find that balance, that interface between our projects and the built environment and the natural environment. That's where you find the best projects, are the ones that are able to lay on top of the environment in as seamless a way as possible. And as a company, we're dedicated to trying to find ways to minimize that overall footprint and the environmental impacts that some of these projects may have. And actually, in a lot of ways, to make them even better. And that's one of the great things that we have, is the ability to be able to do that on a regular basis.
We accomplish this through a multidisciplinary collaborative approach. We assess factors such as air and water quality, biodiversity, land use, along with socio and economic impacts. We believe in proactive and sustainable solutions to complex projects.
We have subject matter experts and the professional archaeologists and architectural historians. And they are really looking at things from that cultural resources component, from pre-contact, pre-European times up through current and more historic. And when you think historic, I technically could be an historic resource. So we start looking at 45 years and older and identifying how that could come into play, and is that potentially eligible for registry through the National Register of Historic Places.
We try to find ways to make the past more than just a history book, but to kind of bring it into the present. You kind of get like shades of the past overlapping each other within the same landscape. So at one point it's like divorced by time, but at the same time it's united by the landscape. So it's all there in one.
There's stories to be told, and there's stories to be preserved, and cities will be enriched for it if they take those into account in their projects.
I feel really fortunate to work at a company that has very strong values and morals. I have a son, and so I am really hoping that the work that we're doing every day is creating a good future. Bolton Menk is doing a lot of different things that other firms are not doing. Our goal is to provide as much restoration and as much protection to natural resources as we can.
One of my favorite quotes from Aldo Leopold is, "If we lose our wilderness, we have nothing left to fight for." I've always loved that one.